Hey everybody, welcome to the Rich by Decision podcast. I am your host, Evie. And today we're going to talk about the 5 most important words in all of money, finance, investing, and business. If you guys are fairly new to understanding about money and trying to get your money right, or you are a very accomplished investor or business owner, this is vital for everyone, right? Because, if you're an accomplished person, you're going to know all the advanced terminologies like your profit margin, your debt to equity ratio. Those who are beginning, starting out, they're just trying to figure out how much debt they got. So what I want to do is I want to condense this to make it as simple as possible by coming down to these 5 very, very important words. And they make up essentially 3 financial statements that are found in accounting. You see, back in high school and in college, I took accounting courses. I took accounting in high school, and then when I went to college at Portland State, I took financial accounting, managerial accounting, and finance. And it wasn't until I started my own business that I realized, number one, how much school did not teach me about accounting, and number 2, how much I had to learn about what is applicable in accounting. And so it can seem very tedious, boring. Maybe you don't like math and stuff. So hopefully by me breaking down into 5 most important words, this will give you like a bigger picture and make it easy for you to understand and actually follow through in accomplishing how to make your own financial statements. You see, with these 3 words and the 3 financial statements, which I want to go over right now, every person, every company, every government has financial statements, okay? And essentially they tell us how well they do things with money. How do they behave? How much money they got? How much money they spend? Are they in debt? Are they solvent? Are they creditworthy? So when you're looking at how something or someone behaves in money, you're going to be looking at these statements, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break them down as easy as I can. So let's begin. The first word that's very important in money is income, okay? Income, we can define it as money that comes in on a regular basis. It's money that you bring in, right? If you got a job, if you're doing real estate and you're collecting rental income, or you got stocks that's paying you dividends, those are all ways of bringing money in, even if you're doing like a side hustle. That's what an income is, okay? Now, going deeper into that, there are 3 types of income that you can receive. The first one is called ordinary earned income. That's income that comes from a job where you're trading time for money, an agreed upon time, whether it's a salary or an hourly wage. You bring that in, okay? We also call that the W-2 money, right? Essentially, you're an employee to somebody, and you're receiving that income, okay? You can also get that from side hustles and all that sorts, right? Essentially, you're burning time and energy in order for you to get a paycheck. The second type of income is called portfolio income, and that's usually an income that's received from selling an asset for capital gains, okay? Let me explain this as simple as I can. Let's say I get like a stock that's worth $10, okay? I hold that and it goes up to $20 and I decide to sell it at $20. Well, $20 is what I sold it for. I bought it at $10. I made a profit of $10. That $10 is called capital gains. That's what we're going to consider our portfolio income from. You can do the same thing with flipping houses, selling, trading sports cards, and all that type of stuff. It's what's called portfolio income. It's kind of money that you can find on a 401k, or we just call that portfolio. Essentially, it's called capital gains. I'm receiving profit from selling an asset. The last type of income is called passive income, and that's income where you're not actively involved, that's received from either dividends from stocks, rental income from real estate, or coupons from your bonds, or even royalties from maybe intellectual property rights and of that sort. So that's called passive income. Okay, so these are the 3 types of income that you can receive. The next word is called expenses. That's the next most important word in all of finance. And expenses, the way I define it as money that you must spend on in order for you to maintain your current operations, if it's a company, or your current lifestyle, if it's just for you. Okay. So for you, you might have the basic needs, right? You need a shelter, so a place to rent or have your mortgage, get clothes on your back, or, food on the table. The basic necessity things that you need to maintain your lifestyle. Now that for some of us that live lavishly, it's just whatever that current lifestyle is. Okay. And so there are many different types of income. I won't go into it because I think everybody knows how they spend their money. So what happens is these first two words, income and expenses, they make up the first financial statement, and we call that the income statement. All it is that statement is just going to tell us whether we're making more money than we spend, that's called net profit, or we're spending more money than we make. It's called a net loss, okay? So it's just the income statement, which holds the income and expense, the words, are just going to tell us how well we do with our money, okay? So that's the first financial statement, so those are the first two words. Now, word number 3, we're going to call that assets. Now, this is a very, very important word that you guys need to pay attention to when you are accumulating wealth, okay? So assets can be defined in 3 different ways. Under general accepted accounting principles, GAAP, right? It's just a way of properly doing accounting. Assets is defined as things that you own. It's very simple, but that's not necessarily true, right? So to them, an asset could be the couch that you own, maybe the TV that you bought, sure, all those little things. Now, if you refer to Robert Kiyosaki's definition of assets from his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he defines assets as things that put money in your pocket. So in that case, it would be real estate, right? If you purchase a real estate property, you can receive income from the rents that are being paid by the tenants. So that to him is considered an asset, which I think is a really great definition. Now, I studied a course from MIT where they define assets, which I think is a even better definition, is a sequence of current and future cash flows. Now, let me break that down for you really quickly. So that term. So let's look at this. Okay. So assets is a sequence. A sequence is an interval that's continuing, right? Just how frequent you're getting something. A sequence of current, which is now, and future down the line. Cash flow. Cash flow. We can flip the words. It's just a flow of cash, whether it's going into your pocket or out of your pocket. So if we break that whole definition down into easier to understand words, it's essentially receiving money continuously now and in the future of cash. That's what assets is. And so I usually base my definition of assets through what MIT defines it to their students, a sequence of current and future cash flows. Okay. So assets could be stocks, buying a stock. It could be your 401k account. It could be your cash account, your checking account, your savings account. All those things that you own that has money or that's investing are what I would consider assets. Now, what I wouldn't consider an asset is your house, cars, and we'll get to that in later episodes. But just bear with me here that I would prefer that assets are things that will go up in value or that gives you a series of cash flow. So that's what I would say the definition of assets is. Okay. Now, word number 4 is liabilities. Liabilities will be defined as under Rich Dad, Poor Dad's book from Robert Kiyosaki is things that takes money out your pocket. According to accounting, it's just money that you owe. So if you have medical expense, you have a mortgage that you have to pay, you took a loan out for your car, student loans, that will be all found in liabilities, right? It's just essentially debt that you owe. And so with these two words, assets and liabilities, they make up the second financial statement, which is called the balance sheet. Okay. Where the balance sheet tells us is what your net worth is. So I'm going to take assets, right? A sequence of current and future cash flows, anything that gives me a cash flow or goes up in value. I'm going to take that and I'm going to subtract that by liabilities, money that I owe, and whatever I'm left over with would be my net worth. This is what the balance sheet tells us, is how much wealth have you accumulated, okay? And in this specific financial statement, this is where we truly find out how much wealth you're accumulating, okay? So it's not necessarily how much money that you're making, it's also how much assets that you're acquiring and how much of your debt that you're paying down, or how much debt you do not have, okay? And then the last word, the most important word of all, is cash flow, right? It's just a flow of cash that's going either into your pocket, which is towards you, or out of your pocket, that's away from you, okay? And that is found on the third financial statement, which is called the statement of cash flows. And essentially, there are 3 different ways that we could see where you're generating cash flow from. In accounting, it's called the cash flow from operating activities, meaning like, if you are just a specific person, how hard are you working from your job in order for you to make that money? How much of that money that you're collecting is from your job? It's called operations, your job. For business, it's what your business is making. The second type of cash flow is cash flows that are coming from investing activities. So that's money that I'm making from capital gains or from my real estate investments. So that's found underneath there, investing activities, cash that I'm collecting from investing activities. And then the last item under the statement of cash flows is cash flows from financing activities. So if I'm borrowing money, if I'm taking money from investors, right, that isn't my own, that I did not have to sell an investment from or have to work for it, that's what's found in the financing section, okay? And so what happens is with these 3 financial statements, it allows us to see with easy to understand 5 words what's going on with our money, okay? So let's do a quick review, all right? So the first 2 words was income, money that you receive on a regular basis, minus expenses, right? Things that you must spend on in order for you to maintain your current lifestyle or operations, will give you your net profit or net loss. If you make more money than you spend, it's net profit. If you spend more money than you make, it's net loss. That makes it the first financial statement. Second, the third and fourth word, is assets and liabilities, right? So I'm going to take my assets, right, things that gives you a sequence of current and future cash flows, and I'm going to subtract that by liabilities, things that I owe, and which is my debt, and that's going to give me my equity or net worth. Okay, how much am I worth from accumulating assets or from how much I owe? Okay, this is where you'll find out if somebody's broke or rich or wealthy. Then the last word is cash flows, and that's found on the third financial statement, which is a statement of cash flows. Now, what that does is it tells me the truth and it tells me the story on what's going on with my first 2 financial statements. I want to know, okay, you got this cash on you. Wow, that's awesome. But where did that cash come from? Did it come from working a job? Did it come from selling an asset? Did it come from you borrowing money? Like, where did that money come from? And that will tell the story on whether or not somebody is broke or somebody's rich. Okay? So just keep this in mind as you guys follow me through this journey on being rich by decision, which is figuring out, okay, how do I get more income? How do I lessen my expenses? How do I get more assets and lessen my liabilities so that I can make more money and also that I am getting richer? And the story will be told by the cash flow statement, the statement of cash flows, okay? Anyways, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. We would love for you guys to continue the conversation with me. Next week, we'll follow through and go more in depth on how assets such as your house, which you think is called an asset, isn't an asset. I'm going to back it up with facts. So stick with me, guys. Please, if you guys are listening to this from the Apple Podcast or Spotify, please subscribe, like it, leave a review if you guys can. We'll stick with you. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.